Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! Tomorrow is Christmas Eve, so I decided to do something fun here at Senior Art Strokes. We're going to do a scene, a little drawing of Mr. and Mrs. Snowman. And they're going to be walking in a nice, beautiful snow-covered ground among the evergreens. Very simple composition, but I want you to pay attention to three different things. One is how you're going to preserve the whites. Just leave enough white there that you want to show at the end of the drawing, so they will pop. Another one is I want you to get used to covering almost the whole entire page with graphite, so we can kind of bring some kind of unity to the piece. And third, I want you to squint. Get used to squinting. When you're adding tones, especially with black and white, when you're adding tone, it is so important to squint because when you squint, you start seeing nothing but silhouettes, shapes, and you can really see the contrast, of dark and light. So that's the exercise for today. I hope you'll enjoy it. Practice it. Thumbs up will be great. Subscribe will be a beautiful Christmas gift for my little channel that I just started this year. So enjoy it and let's go and sketch Mr. and Mrs. Snowman. Merry Christmas to you. What we're going to do today, we're going to be working on preserving the white of the paper, how that can help us later. Also to add tone, of course, and and always remember to squint your eyes. That is what the lesson of today will be. Squint your eyes, preserving the white, and just of course, the reason why we squint our eyes is because we can then see where the darkest darks are, the lightest lights are. So I'm going to begin my drawing by doing some kind of circle. Snow people tend to be rounded. And I'm going to have my first one right there. Doesn't have to be exact. We just wanna, as a matter of fact, this might be too far to the middle. I'm going to erase it. I'm using the needle eraser, which is the standard for me pretty much. I'm going to move this figure a little bit closer to the edge. Okay. So this time I'm going to make it right in here. Yeah, I'm trying to see how big I want to go, and I think it's about right now. And we're going to be kind of, close together like that. And of course, Mr. is always a little bit, you know, bigger than Mrs. Santa. Mrs. Santa is kind of petite, nice. Okay, so we're going to do the horizon line about right in here. It's going to be, and we're just going to see a little bit of the background, and we're going to have some, of course, evergreens. And as you can see, I'm just sketching very light. You should always start your sketches very light. Something that you can, pretty much you're the only one who's going to see this right now, these lines. Because they're easy to move around. You don't want to do something permanent right away, not this early in the game. Okay, so I'm looking at these two figures and the evergreens, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's about right. This is going to work out okay for us. Here in the background, we're going to see a little bit of trees in the background. They're in the woods, taking a walk, sort of like late night walk, or sort of like close to the evening there. And they will be having some shadows here going across. So that's pretty much our composition. So the next step is we have to give the Mr. Santa a little hat. So I'm just going to pretty much it's kind of like a square. You see, nothing. Right now I'm not into details. Right now I'm just into working out the composition. Mrs. Sant, on the other hand, is going to be also wearing a nice little hat, but hers is going to be a lot smaller, of course. And it's going to be sort of like right about here, like this. There. So I'm squinting my eyes again just to see how it's working out, and I kind of like it. So now I'm going to continue with the rest of the sketch. If I like this, you know, they have to have the rim of the hat there for Mr. And Mrs. Claus is going to have another kind of pretty funky rim there with the hat. There we go. And this one is going to be more like rounded on top because we're not going to see the top of the hat. And we're not going to see the top of Mrs. Santa's hat either. So they're kind of right rounded on top a little bit. Okay. So after we have done this, I'm just going to go a little bit darker now, just to define the figures a little bit more. And these two are going to overlap, so Mrs. Santa is going to have a little piece, you know, missing there. There, and we have her face. And her hat. There we go. There. So now that we have done that, what we're going to do, we're going to start adding tone to the paper. And to add tone to the paper, I'm going to get a darker pencil. I started this with the HB pencil, very light. And now I'm going to find, let's see, what is it at? The 4B will be dark enough. Oh, this is the 6B. This will be dark enough. This is also be a good exercise for you to practice, you know, how light you're applying the tone. Try to apply the tone light, not very dark right away. That way we can play, we'll have a big arrangement of tones if we need them. What I'm doing here, I'm just adding tone to the background. The background is going to be, remember, it's kind of like a little bit later during the daytime, so it's going to have a little bit darker tone in the sky, plus there will be some evergreens. And for right now, I'm just escaping the shapes of Mr. and Mrs. Santa. See? Like that. Yes. There. And later on, we'll go back, you know, and make it a little bit brighter or darker if we need to. And here it's going to come down to about there. Here's where the horizon line was, so there. And of course we're going to have some shades, shadows from the tree in front of us here. So we're going to put a little bit of this color. This is just to add tone to the paper, just to get rid of some of the white, just to see where we want to preserve the white. Right now, all of this is going to be under shade, shadows, so it's not going to, we don't need to have that much white showing. But I am following kind of like the contour of the land. You see that? Kind of like so. Okay. There. So now we see where these evergreens are, and here's one. So I'm just going to go kind of like redraw a little bit darker now, so I can see where the marks are. There, maybe it's another one here in the back, then we see a little bit of it there. And this, now we're going to go darker with it. Like that. And we have the darker of the evergreens in the background. See how easy we can, how fast we can add tone to this paper. And we pretty much have a lot of this canvas, a lot of this paper covered. And since we said there will be some evergreens in the background, Here also we are going to start darkening the background a little bit where we think the evergreens are. And they pretty much go all the way to about there. These evergreens in the background are going to be dark, but never as dark as the ones in the foreground. That way we can create the illusion of depth, you know. The light will be coming from this direction. So this side is going to be light, and this one is going to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to do that. Since she's wearing a hat, she's going to be shadowing some of this, and here's where we're going to go and make it a little bit darker, like that. There. You see, when you're doing this, you create kind of like a unity, everything kind of works together. It makes more sense. Now I'm going to darken a little bit the background again. It's going to help us showcase Mrs. Santa here a little bit better. There. Okay. So done that, I'm still squinting my eyes and see how everything's working, and so far I like it. So we're going to go on with the next step, that is, let's darken up, let's define the shapes a little bit more, like the hat, going to be more defined. We are going to make it sort of like this. Let's see, make it a little more interesting. There, and here for the head also it's going to be darker, and this side of the body, of course, we're going to start defining it more. There, a little bit lighter. See, she is going to be looking at him, so we draw the hat a little bit different. And there's a smaller hat. They're having a lovely walk. I'm sure the weather is nice. Yes, the way they like it. Kind of like around probably 20 degrees Fahrenheit. There. So we have the two shapes. And now we can also start kind of like darken this a little bit more, the evergreen. It's going to be this one, it's going to be behind this tree, so we're going to add tone, but it's not going to be as dark, of course, as the one in front. This is going to be the darkest, so we are going to add more tone. There. Okay. And of course the background is going to be, these trees are going to be a little bit darker, so I'm just going to darken them. Okay, when I'm doing this, you don't see it, but what I'm doing, I'm going with the pencil, start rotating it little by little as I go, like this. And the reason for that is so I can keep, you see how pointy my pencil is? That way I can keep the tip very sharp. That way when I need to do details, I can just do them and they'll be sharp, or have sharp lines. So that is the reason why I do it that way. That's why we rotate the pencil as we go. Okay. Now we can start dressing them up a little bit. Mr. Snowman is wearing a scarf. So we're going to draw the scarf here. About here. And this is going to be dark. Like that. And of course, since it's a little bit breezy, you know, the scarf will be blowing in the wind a little bit. So we're going to do that. and this will be dark. There we go. And the hat also is going to be dark, so I'm going to make the hat, the upper part of the hat, dark. These are pretty sharp dressed people, so they like to walk in style in the woods. It's kind of fun when you make your own stories, it makes it more fun. And we're all kind of like childs in a sense, and it's kind of like fun to play with that illusion of a fantasy sometimes. I like to do that. And we have the hat. Of course, it's going to be very dark because that part doesn't get any sun or any daylight, so it's going to be darker. So you see, we're already seeing the shapes, how they're coming together. And we're going to move into Mrs. Santa's hat. Same thing. And we're going to leave a little bit of a bright. See here, we go like this. There we go. Hat, and she's wearing a nice, beautiful bow. And here, oh, she wants to look all fancied up for Christmas. So she has a nice bow. You see how easy it is to make the bow? And we're going to color it dark also. There. And she has its little, I don't know what to call it, but it's kind of like, little, it's something that's not quite like a sweater because it doesn't go over, but it's just something to cover the top. I know this has some kind of name, but I can't remember at the moment. And it's going to be dark, just like this. And here you see it's nice to have this because we can reshape this, the belly of the Mr. Snowman. At the same time we separate both of them. We can see where one starts and where one ends. There. And this will be darker also. There. So I'm squinting my eyes, and so far I'm thinking, yeah, so far it's working out good. So we will continue. Now that we done this, I'm going to start giving them a face. Mr. Santa, Mr. Santa, Mr. Snowman is going to have a, the one eye there. Here be the other one. Like that. Of course, we had the carrot for a nose, right? We had to. That's it, carrot for the nose. And it's going to have a smile like this. He's happy and he's walking next to Mrs. Santa because they're in love and they're enjoying this walk. So there's the mouth. And also just to showcase his belly, we're going to put one. And this one, you see, this is going to follow the shape of the body, so it's going to be another one here, another button, and the last one like this. Okay. And for Santa, Mrs. I keep on saying Santa. For Mrs. Snowman, We're going to do something similar, but her eyes are going to be a little bit smaller. And she's looking at Mr. Santa. She's so proud of him. She said, "You look so handsome dressed like that." And we have a little carrot there, like that. And she's also going to have a little smile, but her smile will be a little bit smaller, you see. So we're going to make it like that. And right here, same thing, she's going to have a couple of buttons like this. Maybe two would be good for her. There. Now we have pretty much the shapes of both of our snow people. Okay, so now let's think about squint your eyes and you're going to say, oh, this is way too light, so we're going to darken it a little bit more. And you see here I'm kind of going around it so we can show it's overlapping there. And here should be a little bit more because the sun is coming from this direction, so it's not going to get a whole lot of sun here. Plus here, we'll make this a little bit darker because she's casting a shadow. Like everything, she's casting. Okay, so now, well, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get my stump and I'm going to start getting some of this. We have to get rid of some of this white that we have here. To start darkening some areas, like the background a little bit more, so we can layer add more texture. There. So now pretty much the only thing we have left to do is just to add the darkest darks, which will be, I will be using the, the 6B pencil, and I'm going to go over the hat. We want to have this dark. So on this one, pretty much what I'm doing, I'm putting a little more pressure than I've done before, just to get it darker. There, that pretty bow she has on. And so here we're going to make a little more distinction between the body and the ground by just doing that. Just take much, and of course right there it will be darker than the rest of the shadows because it's right there by the body, like that. And of course here one thing I need to introduce here is he had a little pipe there. And there. And the hat, Mrs. Snowman, Mrs. Snow Lady, sorry lady. Also the nose, a little bit of the mouth. And the broom, we're going to make one side a little bit darker than the other. And of course we have the arm. And maybe he's kind of having his arm around him, around her. See, that's why she's smiling so big. She can feel the love. There. And you see how light the sky turned out, because we added at first some tone and it looked kind of like a little bit darker, but it looks almost light now. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go very light, and I'm going to do another quick pass. Okay, and then there we go. Just to show a little bit the boundaries better. Little sticks showing coming from out of the snow. And pretty much we have our Santa, keep on saying Santa. Pretty much we have our snow couple done. There we go. The only thing left to do now, I get my kneaded eraser, and like I told you before, this works better when it's soft, so we kind of have to play with it, just make it nice and soft. This way we're cleaning it at the same time, and we are going to make it work a lot better. So what I'm going to do here, just get a little tip, and I'm going to go over some areas just to bring back the white that I lost. And here maybe just tap it a little bit. Sometimes when you tap, it's just nice because it gives a little texture and it's not all a straight line. Let's see, Mrs. Santa there has some white. Showing a little bit the white around the belly just to clean it up some. There. So there you go. There you have our, well, there we have our Christmas drawing for this week. Mrs. and Mr. Snowman walking in the woods, having a great time, a lot of smiles. I hope you enjoyed this this exercise. I think it was kind of fun. Merry Christmas to all of you, and yeah, practice as much as you can, because that's how you're going to get better at this. And just be in tune for another video. Enjoy it. A like would be nice, and subscribe even better, and I will see you next time. Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas. You know, a little better here might be nice, just to show a little bit more of the highlights.